And that's always been where I come from. Even though, my grandmother slammed the door on my Black friend when I was a child who came to visit me. My grandmother, who Jewish and taught herself everything, who rode the trains in Russia to Kiev to support her family. She was the matriarch of her family. She brought her family here to America to escape the Cossacks, the Russian Cossacks, from killing her and her family of Jews. She saved them. She was the matriarch. And I think I get a lot from her, but she still had that mindset that something's wrong with the Black person. No, a Black person can't come into the house. I said, Grandma, what is your problem? That's my buddy. Come on in, dude. My grandma, but I've always stood up. I've always stood up for people, whatever race, whatever culture, whatever disability. I mean, that's a whole nother ball of wax. People with disabilities. I mean, it's just been in the last 30 years that we got access for people in wheelchairs to be able to go up sidewalks.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been anti-disability mindset, so access to goods and services needs to be for all.
I agree. I have a question for the panel. Has anybody
Yes.
heard of Jane Elliott?
Jane Elliott, Shelley?
Yes, the blue-eyed experiment, the blue-eyed, brown-eyed exercise.
Oh.
Dolls.
I know Miko has. Have you, Miko?
Yes, I have.
It's interesting. I think that everybody should look up Jane Elliott. She has taught so many people, or so many classes on diversity, and she does an experiment where there's people with blue eyes and there's people with brown eyes, and the people with the blue eyes, she tries to
In the class.
help
Oh,
them
yeah.
understand what it's like to be a person of color. And it's just interesting to hear her. And I think that you guys should really take the time to look up Jane Elliott, just to hear. It's just interesting to hear her side of it. She is white, but she really makes her students realize what it's like, or try to make them realize what it's like to be a person of color and to be treated differently because of the color of your skin. But she uses the color of eyes, and she uses an experiment of blue eyes and brown eyes. So if you guys could get a chance to look up Jane Elliott, I think she's interesting. So if you get a chance.
Ladies,
Definitely.
I wanted to let us know that we also have some activity in our Facebook family here. We have Colonel Johnson, who says it all boils down to lack of knowledge and individuals not wanting change, being afraid of the unknown. If we look back in the early 1950s when segregation began, not everyone was on board with the idea, but here we are today dealing with similar issues. He says, but there has been some progress. We must continue to keep the focus of family values, education, and economic development on a community level, our community neighborhoods. Then we can move forward as a global community. He says to continue what you guys are doing here on the show and bringing awareness to issues of social justice. And thanks everyone on the panel tonight. So thank you, Colonel Johnson, and thank you to the panel tonight, everyone.
Absolutely. This has been
I have one comment, because Linda has said something about the tools, like, needing the tools. And I look at, that's one thing that Blacks weren't never given the tools, because we weren't allowed, or since we were 3/5 of a human. Blacks can't have no land. They were given so much land to the whites. Even the Blacks that had the land, like recently, the whites took their land was given back to them. And I look at when you're not given a tool, you can't do nothing. You can't, if you don't know, you don't have a tool to do nothing. So we weren't never given anything. Of course, now today we work, or we work from paycheck to paycheck, and we do what we can to get what we can. But as a whole, as Black people, if we don't have that, there's only so many things that where you can be put on top, and that's like the fear. That's what they're scared of. Like if we get land, if we get that type of power, if we invest and start to bring not just our own selves but others like us up, that's what the fear is. But the tools, if they never had those tools in our ancestral line coming up, when we were supposed to have that and weren't never given that, then it's not going to happen. Talking about it, we could talk about it all day long, because I see if we was talking about it with Martin Luther King, even he realized, you know what, he might have led his people into a burning building because he knew that integrating us and getting us together was not going to solve nothing. So when I read that and I look at that, I'm like, you know what? We can talk about it all day long. We can kumbaya, we can love, we can do all of that until they don't even have to say I'm sorry. You know what you can say, you know what you can do? You can say, okay, we're gonna start talking about how Blacks can become, and I ain't talking about all Black, I'm talking about Native Blacks, the ones that got brought over here. That's who I'm speaking about. Because some Blacks, they came over here on their own accord because they had some type of privilege. Not all Blacks were dealt with slavery in that type of way.
That is a
So
great
that's
point.
what
No, what you're saying, that's a great point, Chris. I appreciate that. We have had some amazing discussions here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Poetry of Justice show. My gosh, we've had Miss Linda Kaye. As always, you just burned down the house. My goodness, with commentary and so forth. Lori G, I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at that time on that clock, but it's
I
some
did.
tea
I was going to try
time.
to transition us to, it's been some heavy conversation,
I
guys. And
know.
I really appreciate everyone being so candid and so open and weighing in, and Mary joining us all the way from China. That's
Can you believe
beautiful. We
that? That's
appreciate it.
awesome.
But I also want our listeners to know that this beautiful filmmaker that we have is also a poet, and that she has a body of work and that she's very engaged there. So Linda, why don't you tell us about your books and about your poet's place that you've established?
Thank you. Before I get into that, I want to give a shout out to all the listeners on Yikes Radio. I have a lot of friends who just wanted to tune in to the radio. So, hey guys, thank you for tuning in. If you're out there, I don't know. I think there's a chat room on there too. So I don't know how that's monitored, but I don't know if anybody's chatting up on Yikes. Again, thank you guys for having me so much. I love what you guys have been doing. I've been listening to you guys for a while. I tune in every so often. Sometimes it's too heavy duty for me, and I tune out.
It's too yikes, huh?
Oh man, it's like sometimes, okay, we're talking about a lot of abuse now. Okay. And we've got to share what's going on. We've got to talk. We've got to talk about it. And and that kind of drove me to start up my column called Poet's Place. It's in the online publication of the LA Art News, and it's an art publication, and I have a column called Poet's Place, and it's open to anybody who want to submit. Everybody is welcome. Send me your poetry, and I'm going to post it online. Mary posts incredible pieces every month, and if you want to submit every month, you're welcome to. And just send them to me to Linda Kaye Poetry at iCloud.com, and I will host your piece of poetry.
I will put that in the chat for everyone. Tell us about
Also
your
put
book,
that,
Linda.
yeah, your most recent piece of work here.
Well, I have a lot of work, a great body of work. I started writing poetry in, I think, maybe 2012, 2013. I've been hosting poetry events. This is where I met the beautiful Jackie Ray. She came to one of my poetry events and read a piece, and we bonded right away. And I have one book here called Sexy Stuff that I know Jackie said she wanted me to read from that book. We'll see what our time frame is. But I've got several books out. I've the first book that I ever wrote is called Teetering on the Edge of the Emotional Cliff. Very depressing poetry in that book. I wrote these pieces while my father was dying, and that was a way for me to deal with my grief and my loss. And I wrote a book I think it's a couple of years ago now, called What's Your Hubbub?
I love that one too. I got that written down. What's your hubbub?
So, you know, I take all the photography in any of the books, and I write poetry, and I love it. And I made a short documentary. I took people who were poets, and I think if Mona's still here, Mona Jean came, and she was part of this trek when that guy became president. I was so horrified that I had to get out of town, and I took this trip to Jacumba, which is at the border of Tecate, Mexico. And as I was driving down there, I see this wall. And that guy was talking about building a wall, and there was already a wall. And it blew me away, and found out that actually Bill Clinton built that wall, you know, between Mexico and California. And I think it was 2003. He already built that wall. And so I'm seeing this wall, and this guy just became president, and I was so upset that I thought, let me do a show. Let me do a show about our angst about what has just occurred in this administration. And then as I, you know, was thinking about that and putting that show together, I said, you know, this has got to be a film. I've got to document that. So I've got this this film called Border Poets. It's on YouTube. Watch my 20-minute documentary.
All right. Border Poets on YouTube. I will put that in the chat as well.
Thank you.
So,
Mary,
Linda, you
I
know,
was
we
gonna
are
ask.
approaching Valentine's Day, and it would be great if you read us a couple of pieces out of Sexy Stuff.
Oh, okay. Now I know, Jackie, you had one piece you wanted me to read. You said.
I know I'm just being such. I love my favorite. Okay. The art of seduction. But Linda, we have to do high and feisty. Can we please? Lord, you know this one, Lori. This
I
is from the
do. That's
reading
one
we
of my
did.
faves.
I know it is. That's what I was thinking. Look at
All
Linda.
right. Is that the 22? All right.
Yes.
A few minutes left.
Yes,
Okay.
we're ready.
Yes.
Seductive and haughty, out for the night feeling lusty, sporting glittered black fishnet loose covered stockings, shimmering statement with hotsy-totsy legs, stepping with high heel sexiness, strutting her sexy stuff, looking to get laid, getting high and feisty. A smoking arrow shot from a blunt strikes the leering sex interest and awakens the dude sloshing gin 20, grifting and waiting, getting high and feisty. Outside on the Sunset Strip, the Machiavellian type harlot babe, reeking of danger signs, covered with sheer lace. She twinkles a winking eye, suggesting entrance to the bar, begging to get high and feisty. An older tart turns to look and stare wishfully, yet longingly at the man with the full beard and the fur coat. He sways gently to the rhythm of the hot, humid air that is accumulating, steaming in the room filled with raging hormones, because everybody's getting high and feisty. The energy begins to boil as the dance of romance begins its journey, sashaying down the path towards lustful unknowns. The hungry and powerful draw is contagious, unfiltered, that compels with its juicy, seductive smells and delicious offerings, unleashing enormous, wild thoughts, unlocking chastity's gate, getting super high and ridiculously feisty.
I love her. I love you, Linda Kaye. Thank you so much. Hey, Stephen, I see you over there blushing a little bit, Stephen. What are you thinking down here in Tulsa? What's going on? What's talk to me?
Yeah, like I said, I like art, so that's her expression. That's what she feel. It was funny because when she said something about a beard, I thought
I saw your face. I saw your face. I love that, Linda Kaye. What are you thinking, Lori? I love that one. Oh my
I
God.
love that one. I'm thinking maybe we got time for one more.
You up for it, Linda?
Poetry?
Yes.
Yes.
Mary, did you want to get prepared for your handles? You know, we can let everybody know as we get ready to outro the show for your work and how individuals can.
They can find me on Instagram, Not Just the Ordinary.
Okay.
Not just
Right.
the ordinary.
And Not Just the Ordinary. Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
And then there you'll find my
Rosa.
artist website as well.
Okay.
Did
Perfect.
everybody, I think everybody
And
froze
same thing with
except me.
Facebook. It will be Mary Chung
Yeah,
Artist.
Thank you so much, Mary. I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Linda Kaye.
okay, so you know, I thought maybe I'll read something that I just wrote not too long ago. How about that?
Perfect. That'd be perfect.
What's left unfinished? Have you completed or started your bucket list? Or are you just thinking about what you don't have? Did you finish that novel, that poem, or that letter to your family asking for forgiveness, sharing those crusty, harbored feelings of abandonment, hurt, anger, or love? Or are you just pining and procrastinating about them? Have you started that course you wanted to take forever? That you wanted to learn how to bake that bread or make that ceramic bowl or plant that garden or travel to that mystical foreign land that you've spent copious hours researching the internet about? Or write that love, hate, angry, disappointed, and all that song? What's left unfinished? Have you planned that perfect death that will spell out all your desires at the end? Creating a to-do list for your final countdown, which includes having your nails polished a certain color or clipping your beard, tweezing those ugly nose and chin hairs, and specifying someone to put lipstick and makeup on that suits the lifestyle of that individual. Have you thought of what you'd want to wear at your funeral? Hawaiian shorts and a tee? The black sequin gown you never got to wear again? A rabbit costume? It's in your court to decide. Have you written that will? or created that living trust about stipulating and assigning someone to deal with all your leftover stuff you never had the chance to go through, and someone to cancel all your social media accounts? Well, unless you want everybody to wish you happy birthday on Facebook for the rest of your life or their lives. LOL. What do you want your friends and family to say when you die? Rest in peace. He, she, it, them, they was a good soul, an unselfish humanitarian who went out of their way to acknowledge all those who crossed their path with encouragement, acceptance, and unconditional love? Or were they an entitled thief of love and friendships who never reciprocated an ounce of affection, was a lonely, isolated, and fear-mongering soul and neurotic, narcissistic bitch? The eulogy left to others' devices, well, anything could be said about the deceased. It's personal and it's subjective. Why not create the perfect memorial service ahead of time? Give out personalized leaflets and scripts with detailed instructions to recite. Would that fly? I don't know. Well, you could ask for donations at the funeral so the deceased family wouldn't have to pay the bill entirely for the reception, or have a GoFundMe funeral fundraiser, which is now the acceptable course of business these days. And you can do that while you're still alive to see who donated. So tacky. What's left unfinished? This poem. Well, I guess I ran us out of time. Thank you.
That is great.
Thank you so much, Linda. I love that. Linda, you gave Facebook. We've got Chucky Jones. He wanted to say that he likes that piece. He said it's very deep, and he liked that a lot. He says more. So you've got to complete that. Thank you, Chucky. Lori G, we have had a phenomenal show tonight. How do you feel about it, sissy?
This has been incredible.
know.
Our Zoom room enjoyed it. Thank you to all of the panel members. The Zoom room says they appreciate the conversation about race and privilege, and most importantly, your candidness. We
Yeah.
also have Stephen, who's put himself out there. He says he's going to drop some poetry for us the next time we're on air. So
Oh my God.
I think the
Yay.
ladies of the chat, we're up next week, Stephen. So we would love to have you display some of your work during our
my
session
God.
together.
And Lori, you've got it. Did you want to tell the crew what we're going to be having coming up? It's particularly now that we've got Mary on the line, Lori. What do you have planning for May? You can go ahead and spill
Yes,
the beans.
I would like to take this moment to invite all of you poets to join us in May. We are having a POJ Poetry Slam. So I invite you to be a part of our group. We're going to get together. Rashid's going to give you a little background flow, and you are going to be able to spit your work right here. It's going to be a great night. So I'm going to be knocking on all of your doors. It's going to be the last Saturday in May. Last Saturday in May will be the POJ Poetry Slam. Can I count you in, Linda and Mary?
Yes.
I have to mark it. I hope I will be back in USA by
I
then.
know, Mary.
Last Saturday.
I'm there.
All right, Linda. All right. So,
I love
Mary,
it.
yours might have to be censored, but we'll work with it. We're going to work with China on that.
Okay. April, May, last Saturday. Okay, got it.
Oh my God.
Hey,
Thank you
Chris,
so much,
no hiding,
everybody.
because I know you've got lyrics, Chris. So I put you on the agenda. You're going to be there on May 29th, that last Saturday.
And thank you so much to
spit your
Shelly
things
C.
out. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Thank you,
Shelly.
Shelley.
And
Thank
Miss
you, Miko.
Miko Phillips, thank you so much for your time tonight. And always, Chris Fisher, it's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much. And Tulsa's in the house. Thank
Hi,
you so much,
Chris.
Stephen. We bless you and thank you. And always to my adoring friend, this lady here, no matter what's going on, we'll call her up and she's right there. And I just, Linda Kaye, you're a breath of fresh air. So I love you. I adore you. There's so many. Shelly C, is Linda Kaye the business or what?
She is the business. And she's the best party too. Don't
Don't sleep on Linda Kaye's parties. That's all I'm gonna say. Love you, Mary.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Yikes Land land, in Facebook land, in Zoom land. I love you guys. Mwah.
Dude, thank you
Yay,
guys.
so
Have a
much.
great night.
Good night, guys.
Night, everyone. Good morning.
Morning, Mary.
Morning.
Good morning. Okay.
Bless you. Had a good